right, what a night. I'm pretty happy. Congratulations to President-elect Donald Trump. President Trump, too. I guess we can say that.
Yeah.
Former president. So good news there. We did the show yesterday, and I felt pretty good when we got off air about 6 p.m., and I felt like the tide was going our way. And then we started watching, and it was interesting because in the past, I've always looked for, who am I going to watch? We usually do a little bit of a show, but, I like to go and then watch results. I don't like doing a show until like 2 or 3 in the morning. Mm-hmm. And so I'm kind of flipping around for us as, we stream everything. And I didn't have Fox, which would have been a choice for me, but we didn't subscribe to that. And we have like Paramount, which has like CBS. And I start watching CBS, and I'm like, why am I watching this? Why am I watching this corporate dead media that's been lying so much? So I quickly turned that off, and I went on to, different streaming services, and I watched Megyn Kelly for a little bit. I watched Tucker, and that just wasn't doing it for me. Tucker does a great job, but the coverage wasn't there for me. So I watched The Blaze with Glenn Beck.
Yeah.
And
I've never watched that before, that channel.
It was good.
I mean, I know millions of people do, but I've never watched them. I've heard them on the radio a lot, but
yeah, it was good. And I was just like, this is, first of all, with the election last night, great news, but it was also great news because we're now recognizing that the corporate media is just dying.
Yeah, actually, it was really like they have a entertaining value to their, remarks.
Yeah.
And a lot of it was very serious,
comical.
But it was funny too. Yeah. So it was actually fun to watch.
It's not like watching these NPR, CBS types,
exactly.
and it's like, here's the data, and then they try to act like they're not partisan, and they are.
Yeah.
And they try to act like they don't lie all the time, like when they said that Trump wanted to kill Liz Cheney, and then they ran with that, all that crap that we're sick of. So it was not only watching a change of the country as far as the direction we're about to head, and a wholesale rejection of Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. And Kamala Harris, you won't even remember her name in about 3 or 4 hours from now. She's going to disappear off into somewhere, right? She's supposed to do her concession speech or something later. She did call President Trump, and conceded the election. She should have done it last night, but that's fine. Mm-hmm. It's bitter and it takes a little bit. But it was such a decisive victory, and I'm so happy to see that. The unfortunate part of this, though, is here in Arizona, we have trouble counting. Yeah. I mean, we got a real problem that we need to fix here in Arizona. The only 2 states left where you don't see a check mark and the map colored in is Nevada and Arizona. Nevada's like 80-something%. Arizona's still counting. I think we'll be number 50, to finally declare this thing at some point. What the heck? And, I'm going to work on getting Senate president, and I hope he's going to be the Senate president coming up, because we got to get into the state of the legislature here in Arizona, and it's close, and it's like deadlocked right now. And I'm going to break down. There's like, I think 5. What did I put here? We've got 6 districts where it's super close, that it could go either way.
Because there's still like something like 1 million votes.
Yeah, there's still a million votes to count out there. Now, Senate President Warren Peterson, he proposed, I think it was last session or recently, that we cut off the early ballot thing Friday before the election. So, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, 3 or 4 days before the actual election. It's a perfect idea. Why aren't we doing this? Right? So right now you get your early ballots like 4 weeks before?
Yeah,
and then
plenty of time.
And then usually they're like the Wednesday before. That's the time to put it in the mailbox, and then it's too late. But then you can drop off your early ballot all the way up until election day. And throughout the weekend, drop it off at polling location or drop boxes that the recorders put out. And it's bottlenecking the system. So I'd say let's support, I hope Senator Peterson redoes this bill and puts a limit on when we can get ballots in Arizona. Cut it off at Friday at 5 p.m. You have to have it, whether it's delivered by mail, although I have questions with the mail and the chain of custody stuff, but let's eat the elephant one bite at a time here. Cut it off at Friday before the Tuesday upcoming election. That's it, 5 p.m. You have had the stupid mail-in ballot for 4 weeks. There's no excuse.
Well, isn't that how it is supposed to be? But then the counties go and declare the emergency voting.
Well, emergency voting is, you can go in and vote in person still. So in-person voting ends the Friday before the election at 5 p.m.
Okay.
And then they declare an emergency. You can declare an emergency and go in and vote for basically any reason. My pinky hurt yesterday, or it's going to hurt on election day. I'd get rid of that crap too, Yeah. Because it's like, come on, how many opportunities do you have to vote here? You have a whole month to return your ballot. Not only that, but early voting. I know a lot of people who do not get the early ballot, and they went in weeks before to vote in person early voting. Plenty of opportunities to vote by Friday before. Then it cuts off. That gives the recorders the weekend and into Monday to tally up, or to run at least all those early ballots they've received until 5 p.m. Friday, before the election. They've got time to then set up, and now it's just polling places. You weren't able to mail in your ballot or drop your ballot off? Well, you can go to the polling place, I guess, and that's for that. Now we're focusing on that on Tuesday. So then we're just counting and dealing with those ballots at that point. I'm all for, I've never really been for, everybody's got to vote. I want everybody who can vote to vote if they're educated.
If they're informed, right.
But if you can't get it done in 4 weeks, I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Give me a break. And I know emergencies happen too sometimes, but that's life. Sometimes things happen, and we got to stop
being... that.
It happens.
We've had that in 2012. The presidential primary was going on.
Yeah.
And the election...
You're going to have to remind me here.
I'm
sorry.
February 28th.
Okay.
Was the election
I know this one.
And that was like before the mail-in craze. And, that was like you go to the poll on election day, February 28th.
Yeah.
And February 27th, the day before, that's when Owen decided he was going to be born that day.
That was an emergency.
And so we were in the hospital, and we didn't vote.
Yeah, we didn't vote in that primary.
No, never voted on
that. Yeah, so stuff happens though, and that's like life. And it's just, it happened, and so let's fix that so we can count these ballots quicker. Because here's what we've got right now, and I'll look forward to talking to members of the legislature as the session begins, or we start gearing up towards that. Once we find out what the heck's going on there, because we don't know really who's in control of the legislature yet. We don't even know if Trump, I'm pretty certain Trump won Arizona. What's the latest numbers? I mean, there's still 1 million ballots to count in Arizona, which is going to take days and days. I'm pretty sure that Trump's lead is so far that he's going to be victorious here in Arizona. What's he? How far up is he on over Harris?
I'm looking it up right now.
You're not prepared?
It's pulling up. No, it just had to reload.
Okay.
He's up 51.9%. And that equals 106,000 votes.
Okay. She's not going to budge into that. Yeah. So I'm pretty confident on that.
47.2. So okay. No, he's got her on like 4+%.
Okay.
3% or so.
Let me pull up now the other one is that we're watching is the race between Ruben Gallego, the Democrat, obviously, and Carrie Lake. We had Carrie Lake on the program yesterday, encouraging everyone to get out and vote, and every vote counts. And this is why right now Ruben Gallego is ahead by 60, call it almost 61,000 votes. Like I said, it's estimated there's another 1 million votes to actually count. Mm-hmm. So I'm not ready to abandon that one yet, because it's within anything I think that's within 3 points or less. I think it still could flip. It could go either way. It's unusual to see that, but it's not impossible. I've seen it happen before.
Yeah, theirs is just under 3%. It's like 2.8%.
Yeah, so it's possible. It's a hard road though. Mm-hmm. I always like to be a realist here on this show. I know a lot of people are like, it's going to happen, but yeah.
Well, there's some that are even closer. Some of these U.S. rep in Congress, like one of them's less than 5,000 difference right now. Yeah.
So anyway, Carrie Lake right now behind. What do you say about Arizona? I mean, it's weird because we are just a state that is, I saw the word schizophrenic thrown out there as far as our political
more like
makeup.
Mixed bag or something.
We are mixed bag. We are a purplish state
because clearly more people, at least at this point that they've counted, have voted for Trump.
Yeah.
But then they've also have more people have voted for Gallego, and it's like very different ideologies, and somehow it's like. That happens here all the time.
All the time. Election after election for at least the past several cycles. Yeah. So we have not had a Republican senator in quite a while. It would have been Martha McSally, who
she got appointed
got appointed.
You know, the last one that got elected was
McCain and Flake.
Flake, yeah,
and I would argue, and you know, we used to have former Senator Flake on the program quite a bit in the beginning. And it just became too much for me. I couldn't take it anymore. We actually went to a lot of events earlier on in his career and whatnot. I guess I should stay more friendly when we went to Turkey recently because he was the ambassador to Turkey. We could have he messed that one up. Could have got a good tour there or something.
That's on you, not me.
That's on me. But well, I get like that when somebody, I think, betrays our principles and gets to that point. I was close with, and former Governor Doug Ducey was on this show a lot, and I had worked with him on many issues over the years before I even started this show. And once COVID hit and he just went the wrong direction on COVID, man, I don't mind napalming that bridge if it needs to be napalmed, and that one needed to be nuked.
Well, Flake too. I mean, as soon as he's like very Rhino-esque, not only not supporting Trump, but actually endorsing, the opponents and stuff. Yeah.
I'm a Republican, but, okay, how'd that work out for you this time? He did it again, endorsing Harris. You're not a Republican. It's okay. You don't need to be a Republican. You know, I mean, it's okay if you want to be a Democrat. That's fine. I mean, just be your true self, right? Isn't that whole movement, like on the left, the DEI thing, like your true self? You know, it's just like, just go do it, man. But anyway, I mean, even before we obviously have had Kelly now, and we got him another 4 years at least minimum. And then Sinema, who obviously is out now. And, before that we had Flake and McCain. So what I'm saying is Arizona can have four of the most staunch Freedom Caucus folks in Congress, being Gosar, Eli Crane, and Andy Biggs, all of which I talked to by text and congratulated, and I'm real happy they're all getting back in. And then now Abe Hamaday, who I think is going to fit right within those four. Pretty sure Hamaday is going to remain. I think he's done. He won this one. We'll talk about the other races for Congress, but this is a state that wants to have Democrat senators for some reason, and a Democrat governor, but then Kimberly Yee, the treasurer last election, got the most votes out of anybody. That doesn't make sense. Right? Yeah. And then this is a state that we had Proposition, I can't what's the number for the Secure the Border Act?
314.
Okay. Well, you think whichever one it was that you have, and we'll go over these props here in a little bit too, because there's some of them got wiped out, man.
314.
Okay. Prop 314 was
passed by almost 63%.
Yeah. Because people are tired of the border invasion that's going on. And that's what this election largely was about on the presidential side: inflation, the border invasion, and the instability of the world, and the fact that Biden and Harris have taken us to the brink of World War III. They still got 2 months to go too. Who knows what these two can do? It's scary stuff. You got now a bitter defeatee. Is that a word?
I think she's gonna
who's heading back to McDonald's.
She's gonna disappear again, like she did for the last 3 years.
Best meme I saw was Harris at the McDonald's drive-thru window, and Trump drives up. I don't know who creates these things, if they're AI or what. Another one was Trump pulls up in a garbage truck, and Kamala's in the garbage can, and because we're the garbage people, she got thrown out. That's all on X and or Twitter, so pretty good stuff there. But okay, so what was that? 313.
314 passed. At least at this point, it's at 63%.
Yeah,
but at the same time, 139
there you go.
Also passed.
There you go. The abortion
measure. 62. So we got people passing border protection, being able to secure our own border, basically, at the same time as longer term to kill your baby.
Yeah,
basically.
Well, that's a good way to sum it up in a sick way.
And usually those are at competing ends.
Yeah, it's how does that happen?
It's not. Yeah,
this state is hard to pin down. That's why I'm always cautious. And actually, we dropped out predictions this year because I was like, I don't know how it's going to go. Exactly. Neither way will surprise me.
Yeah.
But how does Prop 140 overwhelmingly pass?
139.
I'm sorry, 139 overwhelmingly pass the abortion issue, which was a very deceitful campaign. Very misleading. I saw people taking some signs down today. We're up in Flagstaff, and it said end the ban. There was no ban. Right. It's unfortunate. It is unfortunate that the Arizona legislature didn't have I don't know, the political coin in the bank or whatever, for whatever reason, to put a competing measure. There was and I didn't check the status. There was another state. We should look that up. Maybe we'll get it for tomorrow's show. They had two competing measures. So you had the pro-abortionist people put forward their, like Prop 139, basically California style abortions, where you can, it
extends the term in which you can do it, but then it also offers a lot more exemptions.
Like you're having a bad day and you go to not even a doctor, but a healthcare worker or a shrink.
Therapist or something.
Okay, therapist. I don't like when I use the word shrink unless it's gone out of style. But I think with the way the country's going, we're going to start, like Senator Rogers the other day on the show, called some people sissies. So we're bringing...
That ride the e-bikes?
Yeah, she was... I'm surprised she won. She almost lost the e-bike vote, right? She blew him away, by the way, too, Senator Rogers. But anyway, where was I going with that? I went blank.
That it was deceitful campaigning.
Deceitful campaigning. Thank you.
And then, towards the end, the last
I was up late last night,
week or two, I know. I did see more signs out that said, hey, abortion is already legal up to 15 weeks. And, this just goes too far. And there is no ban, on abortions. And it was like some of the messaging was getting out, but it was just too late and they got outspent by a lot.
Yeah. No, they got outspent.
So there's there's only so much the no people could do.
We had it goes too far people on, and they're like, we're getting swamped. We just got grassroots. That's all they had.
Right. So there were signs out that told the truth that, hey, abortion is already legal, but there's just not enough.
Yeah. So what I was getting at, though, is I wish that the Arizona legislature had put out a competing one. Basically, what we've got now, the legislature and former Governor Ducey signed the current abortion laws, which is a 15-week ban. I think if we had on the ballot a 15-week ban, just mirroring what we already have in place, and then the up to 24 weeks viability and really up to 9 months one that is now passing and will become not only law in Arizona, but it's a constitutional amendment.
I know.
It's a constitutional amendment, so good luck changing that in the future.
Yeah, and the problem also
people would have voted for the 15 week, I think.
Wording, too, was that it wasn't like, do you want 15 weeks or do you want, they call it fetal viability. Well, people don't know what fetal viability means or how long that is. And so if you're just out there and you're going in on election day yesterday and reading the little blurb on it and it's like, up to fetal viability. Well, okay, sure. Yeah. And they've seen the sign that says, end the ban and all that stuff. Ban.
Yeah. So,
it's just
sad.
Very, very misleading.
It's deceptive how they did
way of doing it. Yeah.
And they had a smooth marketing team to figure it out, what would, eat at the heartstrings there and get enough votes. And they did it. So that's,
and that was a big thing this election with a lot of women, not just in Arizona, but other states too. And, people just get riled up about it, and they feed off each other, and that's just
the interesting thing is, though, because abortion was going to be the big issue of the elections, statewide, nationwide, and it was to a degree, but people were able to separate the issues. So some people think, once this crowd comes out, then everything else, then it's going to be Democrats all the way, or vice versa. It was able to separate out, and that's what. I guess if you look at it, Arizona is maybe independent is the word, because they will go whichever way they want. They'll, like I said, they'll support the abortion issue, but they'll support Donald Trump. They'll support, tax increases in some areas, but they'll support border security, and enforcing our own border laws. Senate, Democrats for the Senate, but, pretty much Republicans for probably the legislature and our DC delegation for Congress. So interesting stuff. If you got a comment, go ahead and comment right in the podcast, right in the stream. If you're listening, on radio, then go ahead and comment by email, talkwithjeff@icloud.com. That's talkwithjeff@icloud.com. So let's go over. What do you want to do? Let's hit the congressional races. Let's start with the federal side. Okay. Like I said, I have been in communication with Congressman Crane, with Congressman Biggs, Congressman Gosar, and I sent a congratulatory message to Congressman-elect Abe Hamaday. But the reality is, there's 1 million votes still to count, right? So this could flip. This is all just me looking at the numbers, how they are right now. before, when we went into this election, we had 6 Republicans and 3 Democrats for our DC congressional delegation. We have 9 representatives in the state, 9 districts. There was the 2 races that I pegged as possible flippable to the Democrats. There were none that I saw that were going to flip to the Republicans. And that's district number 1, David Schweikert, who's been in there he's been in there quite a while, and he's had a lot of issues, and he's had, there was the ethics issue and all that stuff.
Some kind of complaints on that. Yeah.
Right now, with a lot of votes still left to count, he is actually leading by, let's call it, 5,000?
Mm-hmm.
About 5,000, just under 5,000 votes. To Amish Shah, am I pronouncing that right? The Democrat. I think Schweikert's going to hang on to this. I peg this as we're going to lose 1 Republican seat, and I still think that's going to be the case. But I think Schweikert will hang on. Mm-hmm. But I could be wrong. That's just a prediction. Eli Crane in District 2, he's our congressman, beat out the former president of Navajo Nation, Jonathan Nez, or like I said, there's still votes to count, so I can't say.
Right, but he's ahead by 6%.
He's ahead by 6%. Very improbable. That'll change, 53 to 47.
Because how many votes are in District 2 that need to be counted still? I mean, there's a million in the whole state. But in this district or in District 1 or whatever, I mean, how many votes are we really talking about here that need to be counted in that district? No,
that's a good point. It's very hard to overcome something like that. Even what was Schweikert? 2%? 49.2, 50?
Less than 2.
1.5%. It's possible, but it gets hard because they tend to start kind of breaking the same.
Yeah.
And, there's probably a lot of provisionals out there.
It's hard to make up
stuff
that
like
many.
that. Yeah. District 3, this was Gallego's seat. Seat. I was like, who's this? And it was, Yasmin Anasari. I remember we researched her during the primary, and she was pretty left.
She's really far ahead too.
She crushed it. She's going to be a new member of in Arizona of Congress, and I think she was like Gallego may look conservative compared to what I don't know. It's going to be AOC stuff, but we'll see. Greg Stanton, that was a little closer than I thought, but Greg Stanton 53 to 45 against Kelly Cooper. Kelly Cooper's run a couple times, so he's going back. Then Congressman Andy Biggs, good friend of the show. He's been on here many times. I did text him congratulations. We spoke briefly by text, and I'm excited to see him go back. It was like 60 to 40, so he's going back. Mm-hmm. District 6. This is the problem district right here. And I knew this was my pick deep inside because I didn't want to discourage anyone this election cycle, that he was going to have trouble. He's in
Siscomani. Would have trouble. Yeah.
He's a first-term congressman. What is this? Like Tucson area?
Definitely
Pima.
Northern end of Tucson. Mm-hmm. And his race was close last election.
Yes, very close. I think it took days. It's possible he could do it.
Yeah, he's only losing by 4,148 votes.
Yeah. So that one is
still, it's a lot to overcome.
It's a lot to overcome, but that's what about 1.5% vote difference there. I don't know. This is there's a lot of Democrats down there.
Yeah.
This is a tough district, and Kirsten Engel was the one that ran against him last time, the Democrat. And if I had to bet money, I'm thinking that this is going to be a flip.
Probably.
And the Democrats are going to gain this.
Well, it's not looking good anyway right now.
No. And I don't know him. He's never been on the program. Mm-hmm. I always just had a little bit of and I think he might have been in the Ducey administration. I could be wrong. I could be misremembering. He was always a little soft as far as the conservatism for me. Now he's in a swing district.
Yeah, because where he's located.
Fine, but it's like I just got no time for that. You know, he was always just a little what's the word I'm looking for? Noodly. Yeah. Just like come on. You know, it was fine here. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a problem. If you're in a swing district and you're firm, if you're Biggs, if you're Gosar, if you're Eli Crane, if you're Hamaday,
Siscomani never went along with Biggs and Gosar. Well, I wouldn't say never, but
he was supporting like Andy McCarthy.
Kevin McCarthy.
Sorry. So he's always just like, and then I don't know. I'm not going to get personal. I'm trying to be better about that, but he just kind of annoyed me. Anyway, so I don't know if he'll make it or not. Representative Grajava clearly won. He said this is his last term. He's been there a long time.
Yeah.
Then the newcomer, another friend of the show, and he still got a lawsuit for the last election. Because there's still like boxes of ballots, and he lost, like they say, by 280 votes in 2022 to be our attorney general. And now we got an attorney general, by the way, that's looking into did Trump violate the law when he threatened and didn't threaten Liz Cheney, right? He's going to drop it now, but what a bozo. So Abe Hamaday, 55 to 44, clearly going. And then Congressman Gosar in the most conservative district in the state, District 9, which is like western side of the state, Mojave County, is a big area, 66 to 33. So good for Congressman Gosar. So there you go. So we'll see what happens as far as does it stay
or not?
Yeah. Are we going to be 6-3? Are we going to be 5 to 4 or something else?
Yeah.
Could it flip for Schweikert even? I think the Republicans are going to lose one seat, but time will tell.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have a crystal ball.
Yeah.
It's just a guess. So
we'll keep checking.
Yeah, we'll keep checking back on that one, and then I'll plan on getting them all in. And I'm excited because we'll have 4 members of our delegation now that we can turn to on a regular basis.
Right.
And every couple of weeks have them in
One
to
of them.
give us DC updates, or once a month at least, with rotating them. And I think that's real important to get out to people. And they've always been real gracious with their time with me over the years. So let's see, another one, Corporation Commission. The Republicans looks like they swept. I don't see this changing. It's
the difference between the third, the top 3, and then the 4th place is over 60,000 votes.
It's possible.
Still.
I think the trend. There's an old saying: the trend is your friend, and the trend in motion is. It's like a wave. You're building a sandcastle on the beach, and that wave comes. It's hard to kind of stop that.
Yeah.
So it's probably going to continue on. The good news with the Corporation Commission, the 4th branch of government here in Arizona, that a lot of people don't know really a lot about. The Corporation Commission, does all the utility stuff, railroad, water, private water. We've had these folks on in the past, not these guys, but other ones. The good news here is we'll be able to turn back the crazy California leftist electrification nonsense and their disaster over there. So we'll be able to push back on that because I don't know if there might be one Democrat on that 5-member commission right now, so it's highly Republican. So that's really good news. And with Trump winning, you've got a turn back coming of the crazy electrification program, the Green New Deal. It's going to be hard to turn back some of that because they passed that, thanks to Sinema and Mark Kelly here in Arizona. They passed that Inflation Reduction Act, which was a total fraud.
Yeah.
This was the Green New Deal disguised, and it created a bunch of inflation. But with Trump in there, he's going to roll back a lot of stuff, the Paris Accords and all that crap that he got us out of.
Yeah, get rid of some of the mandates.
Get rid of that stuff. Yeah. I just hope that the Republicans are able to hold the majority in the House, in Congress.
Right.
Because we don't want to do this stuff by executive order. Because who was it? Obama did the Paris Accords. Trump came in and took us out of the Paris Accords, which is just total garbage. And then Biden put us right back in. So Trump's going to come in, take us out. We need to do it through legislation. We need to do it through Congress. And actually,
otherwise it just gets undone. It's just
going to get undone.
When the next
sign that piece of paper and it's done. Yeah. So hopefully we can maintain the House. I don't know what it is yet. It's going to be tight as far as who controls, if the Republicans maintain control of the House. It's not helping here in Arizona if we lose one of these seats or possibly 2 of them. Maybe, I hope I'm wrong and we maintain both of them, even though I've, my noodly comments on Ciscomani, I'd prefer to have him than, that other one there.
Yeah.
So hopefully we can maintain that, but it's important to run this stuff through legislation, and Trump knows that. He kind of has admitted that there's so much more he could have done his first term. Although I thought he did a lot. Now I can't wait to see how this shapes out.
Right.
I'm like walking on clouds today. You can tell by the hat if you're watching the video. We had a blanket of snow. I don't want to say hell froze over because I'm not that surprised that Trump won. Right.
Yeah.
But it's really good news. Because we're going to be able to turn back a lot of this stuff, but it all really depends on Congress. You got any updates on that?
No, I'm trying to pull it up, but I'm not.
Now the Senate.
Yeah, I was going to say that when Trump got in 2016, and he had never been in politics before, and I'm sure it was like a gigantic learning curve.
Oh,
but,
man.
It's probably a learning curve no matter who gets in there for the first time, but especially someone like him that's like learning how the machine works, and then all these promises that he made and figured out that it's hard to do all that stuff. But now he knows going in, like he's ready for it, right? There's no unknowns and uncertainties about what it's going to be like. So he's already making plans.
No, and he's already got his people lined up. And the Senate, go ahead.
The House at this point has 207 Republicans versus, they just moved on me, 180 something Democrats.
I hate when they move the screens. It's like when you go to a restaurant,
like
things are flicking around. Or whatever. Like, I just found my burger.
Okay, 207 to 186 at this point. And,
what is control?
218.
Okay, it's going to be close.
The Republicans.
I'm going to be optimistic. Republicans are going to
only 11 short of
maintained by one or two.
Like Arizona hasn't
hasn't
reported it yet. Our 5, hopefully at least 5, will be added, and then I don't know where the rest are not counted.
Okay,
yet.
I don't know. We'll look for that more for tomorrow's show because it takes just a lot of time to dig. I think we might make it. We might squeak it out in the House, and that'll be good because Trump already has a mandate. This was a blowout last night. I mean, electoral blowout. Of course, Arizona's number isn't up there yet because we don't know how to count it. We're like using Common Core math or something. I don't know. I see that
it's embarrassing though. The rest of the states have
I know,
and states with
Texas,
I don't know, 4 times more people.
Yeah, California didn't even count theirs. It just said
California's got 40 million?
We
got 7 or 8.
Well, the good news is, and I'm sorry, I can't remember his name, but there is a new Republican that won Maricopa County Recorder to get rid of this other guy who's been, disaster.
Yeah. So
that's good news. Maybe for the next election, we can tighten this stuff up and the legislature can tighten stuff up. Trump's got a mandate. My neighborhood had a bunch of Harris signs. They're all gone. I want to be gracious. I don't want to be like, I kind of want to gloat today a little bit because I think we deserve it.
Jeff kept talking about going out and putting out like a big smiley face sign on our
And then we were joking. We were joking last night. And I can't say it, and we try to keep it kid friendly, but we just watched Tremors recently. Remember that movie, the first one, Kevin Bacon. And at one point, have you ever seen this? With the big underground worms or whatever those things are. Thing. And at one point, it goes through and it hits a concrete wall and it kills itself. And Kevin Bacon's like, blank you, and it's just
because it was chasing him at the time, and then he turns around and it's
I almost wanted to drive around with the signs and stuff, and
that's funny.
or that Jim Carrey on Liar Liar where he's ha ha ha. But excuse me, I'm going to hold back on the gloating because I think we can do better than the left. The left is, the good news is right now they can't go crazy.
Right.
Because it was such a mandate, and the country's sick of it. If they started, now I'm not saying there won't be some incidents and stuff, but originally I thought if it was real close, they'd be doing their,
I was glad when I woke up this morning and didn't see headlines of, such and such city on fire or whatever.
You know how they do their peaceful looting and rioting and general mayhem, mostly peaceful burning stuff down, like in the Summer of Love of 2020. It's not going to happen. It'll be isolated. I think. I hope. They don't
I hope
go
so
nuts.
too. Because
we got 2 months still.
Republicans are always like, well, taking the moral high ground, and that's because it makes us feel good, and then we, and we get hate it when they do it. Or do their, mostly peaceful, protests.
Peaceful burning stuff down.
But sometimes that gets old of always being,
Listen, let's just gloat today and then let's get to work. I mean, let's just ha, and watch them flip out. Some of them flip out.
And we can be happy about what happened.
Yeah, we should be happy. We should be proud because, first of all, I'm proud of Donald Trump, President Trump, because, really, this guy got just what happened in 2020.
Anyone else would have never done it.
No way. And then his place got raided. Mm-hmm. The trials, which are all going to disappear now, and I hope these people just all get fired. The prosecutors and stuff. all these trials, the witch hunts, the lies by the corporate media, which I think is going to die. I think you'll be like ABC. I'm not talking that. We got to be careful nowadays, right? Because they'll say, you wanted us to die.
Yeah.
No, I'm talking about your corporation, okay? You know, the ABCs, the NBCs, the CBSs, all that just don't watch it anymore. It's just, you know, the news divisions. I have a little hard time on Paramount because once in a while I'm like, I like that program, right? So it's hard to abandon it completely. But the message should be received by these people. Stop with the DEI crap.
Yeah.
You know, stop being such liars. We called you out on it. The American population called you out on it.
That
despite all those lies.
The BS lies and the, you know, deceitful stuff going on.
And we're on to you.
Yeah.
We're on to you.
And then, you can't, you know, I mean, you can't, they haven't beat him.
Yeah,
Trump.
They didn't beat him.
And I'll be the first to admit or like remind people that, first of all, I didn't want Trump to run a second time.
Yeah, you were a
first
DeSantis
place.
person.
And then, and part of my skepticism was not just that he, you know, not that he couldn't do it, but could he win the general? I wasn't convinced that he could beat the Democrat, which at the time was Joe Biden. And
that would have been, we would have won Virginia and New Mexico with Biden.
Yeah, right.
and
I'm glad it worked out, and I was wrong, or my skepticism was wrong.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people are in that same boat of like, okay, we didn't think he could do it, but he did.
Well, and people were quiet. They weren't putting out the signs.
Yeah.
They're tired of dealing with the left and their lunacy. The whole country's tired of it. Knock it off. Stop it with your DEI, you know, dudes in the women's, little girls, you know, locker rooms and bathrooms. Stop that crap.
I hope that,
you know, stop with it. We're tired of
simmer down.
We're tired with the border invasion. That's got to stop right away. And we're tired of funding.
The foreign policy thing is one of my biggest things because I'm really worried about that. And I feel like Trump can handle that way better than Harris or Biden.
These 2 months scare me because let's cover this here in just a second, but when did the Republicans become the anti-war party?
I know, it's crazy.
When did the Republicans become more of the party of, you know, are those chemicals really good for you?
Yeah.
What are we putting in our food? And
maybe we shouldn't have that vaccine until it's tested more.
Yeah, exactly. All right. We'd love to hear from you. Any comments, just comment right in the podcast. You can also send an email, talkwithjeff@icloud.com. If you're old school, you can leave a comment, 877-971-3971. But I'm just thrilled though. You know, this is like walking on sunshine day. I knew at 8:30 last night. Mm-hmm. I was like, this is going well. And we were watching the Blaze TV because we refused to watch the corporate media. At that time,
they hadn't called Pennsylvania or Georgia. No. But every poll or every result that we saw had Trump ahead in those. And so we're kind of like, okay, I think this is good because you know, even the states that hadn't declared yet, they all had him leading. Yeah,
absolutely. Well, let's do this. Let's go over the state of the race in Arizona because it's kind of good news, bad news. I mean, obviously the great news, you know, President Trump winning and decisive victory, which this country absolutely needed. Mm-hmm. I even see Mark Cuban came out and he was like, congratulations on this and that, because, you know, the tiff was getting heated and stuff. So everybody needs to do that now. We need to move on. I hope the left can handle this and bear with it. They're so emotional. What is it? It's like just a different way we're wired. Like they just break down so easily.
Yeah, and they tend to be really dramatic about stuff that he's going to have unchecked power and massive... it's just dramatics kind of get old.
Yeah, it gets old. I was reading some of the stats that Gen Xers came out in the largest numbers for Trump. Mm-hmm. I don't know where I got that from, but I was looking at it earlier. So our generation, we were just like, oh yeah, we're really, you know, we've been called like the slacker generation, although there's plenty of highly motivated people in our generation, but we were just kind of in between the baby boomers and all this other stuff. And the Latino vote came out heavy. Black Americans came out heavy for Trump. They're sick of it. Sick of it. Everybody
overall,
did. Total wallop here.
Harris lost by like huge numbers, had lower numbers than Biden did in 2020. Yeah. So it's like the margin was even worse for her in some of the urban areas and some of the areas that Biden had last time.
It's good news, bad news. Okay. It is great news from the presidential side. And I put a picture on my Twitter feed of Vance holding an AR or something, right? Mm. I was like, this is a different thing. I mean, we could have had, what they call him, Tampon Tim? Oh. You know, I mean, we could have.
He almost lost his own home state.
Yeah, it was close. Minnesota was close. He's probably going to be their first choice for the. I hope so. I would highly recommend him for 2028. Right, coming up, get him trained, get him a little better. It's good news, bad news though, because obviously Trump's getting in there, but Arizona does concern me. I've been following elections here in the state for many cycles. I remember when we had a supermajority or near supermajority in the legislature, and you could get things like SB 1070, and you know, it was fairly easy to get all this really conservative stuff done. And you had defectors within the Republican Party because you had room for people to move. Now, the last two sessions, the Arizona legislature has been 16-14 in the Senate, and it's been 31-29 in the House. So one seat majorities. No room for error. The last session, the Republicans were great. They got a lot of stuff done and through. So nobody defected. Although there's a couple rhinos in there, but they knew they couldn't do it, right? But I am concerned going forward because we are just close on all of these elections, and this one's no different. So with probably, I've seen the number of like 1 million maybe votes left to count. The legislature is super close, and Arizona could flip. Now, you keep in mind, we've already got the governor who's a Democrat, Katie Hobbs, who one of her main things is she's vowed to do is to end the ESA program, you know, school choice. And, you know, she's full on left. So if we lose the legislature, we are in serious trouble in the state. And I never see these states come back. It's very rare. I guess, I don't know. Can you name a state?
Florida, but Florida flipped. But they've had some Republican, I know. Like senators and stuff and governors for a long time.
New Mexico hasn't come back. Colorado hasn't come back. California used to be more conservative. You know, I mean, you name it. So anyway, as of right now, the way I see it is the race is currently tied up for the Arizona Senate.
I just recounted at least what
you got 15
at this point is 15.
Okay.
To 15,
so she verified that too. So as of right now, remember there was 16-14 prior to the election, Republicans in control.
So which one changed? I don't know.
It's on Bollock. Bollock's race changed, and I've got that listed here. So it's 15-15 Republican to Democrat now if the results were to hold, you know, as is. There are 6 districts that are 5 points or less. Most of them are 1 or 2 points. Some of them are a couple hundred votes, right? So let's look at those real quick. Let me go to my state races.
Well, what I'm looking at, though, is Shauna Bollock is ahead.
She is ahead. It was 14 last night.
Okay, so now
last night it was 14-16. The Democrats had taken control, at least, you know, on paper. And then Bollock's, State Senator Bollock, Shauna Bollock for District 2, it's flipped, and she's now in the lead by 1,212 votes. So that gave the Senate a deadlock, 15-15, which is bad news because there's a rhino or two that's going to flip with what's her name, Hobbs. And that would happen. And it's never good when it's deadlocked because it's never like the Democrats come over to the Republicans. It's the Republicans go over to the Democrats.
Or there's a tie situation.
No, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. When there's a tie situation, the Republicans drift and make a deal with the Democrats and with the Democrat governor. That's what will happen. But it's never the other way. The Democrats don't come over and say, "Oh, I'll come over with you, Republicans."
Well, what happens if it is deadlocked in a tie, though? Like in the U.S. Senate? It
fails. I mean, any bill fails. So
the U.S. Senate has the tiebreaker being the VP. We don't have that here?
No.
Oh.
No. So if something's pushed through the legislature, let's say it's changing our elections so that early ballots must be turned in by the Friday before the election, which is exactly what we should do to avoid the counting problems we're currently having because we look like remedial. Like I know. We're in basic math here in our state. It's embarrassing how long it's taking.
And it's torture for all the people that are waiting on results.
Ridiculous. And imagine if the country was really close and waiting on Arizona's 11 electoral votes. So if it's a tie, it doesn't pass. If it's 15-15, it doesn't pass.
And no one moves. Okay.
However, when it comes to the state's budget, it's one of the biggest duties of the legislature. They have to pass a balanced budget by the end of the fiscal year. So by June 30th, right? It has to be done. I don't know what happens if you don't do it. I don't know if like aliens come down and suck you up and take you away or something, but it constitutionally has to be done, right? So if you don't, in order to pass that, they have to strike a deal. And the governor's a Democrat. So like I said, that's when the Republicans start peeling off and they make, and then all of a sudden we have an a $21 billion budget and who knows what we're doing. It'll get crazy. So let's hope that the Senate flips. I think it will. I think we're going to wind up with a 16-14 Republican Senate once again. Here's the districts. So District 2 is Bollock is currently ahead. It's a super close race. Here, do me a favor so I can. What is that? Okay, District 4. District 4 right now. Get this. The Democrat is currently ahead by 38 votes.
Yeah. You
don't think your vote counts?
Oh,
right?
Right. Yeah.
Right. And we'll see where this lands because there's a lot more votes to count. That's Christine Marsh against Karine Werner. I think Werner's in there now.
Okay.
I could be wrong on that. District 9. District 9 is, and this is one that Senator Rogers was talking about on the show last week. She was heavily supporting Robert Scantlebury, who's a Republican. He's currently behind Eva Birch by 1,748 votes. Mm-hmm. What is that? 2%? 1.5%?
Yeah, not even.
Okay.
Well, yeah, about a
2.5. Okay.
2.5.
Okay. Now, District 13, I think is safe. This one's a little further ahead. Senator J.D. Mesnard, we've had him on the program plenty of times. He's leading by 4,200 votes against Sharon Lely Winters, who doesn't have a picture. I never understand when they don't have a picture. Yeah. To me, that's a sign like you shouldn't vote for them. They missed the deadline.
Didn't even get the picture
to submit the picture. Come on. And then the other one is District 17. This was down, and we've had he was in there, and I think he's rerunning again. Senator Vince Leach, former Senator Vince Leach, he's behind by 2,100 votes, and then you've got District number 23 with the Republican behind by 848 votes.
Yeah,
51-49, 2%. So I think one of these are going to flip.
Okay,
that's my guess. That's my bet. Man, if it doesn't, we're in a tough spot as a state. But I think the Republicans will secure this, but we have to wait and see if they can get a 16-14 majority there.
Okay, but there was 16 Republicans last term.
Yes,
currently.
Yes.
And there's only 15 that are ahead at this point.
Yes.
So which one is
I think
the one that's
off?
off?
I think it was the Warner that flipped.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think that one was the one that's flipping right now, but that's a close race as well. Bottom line, we're sitting at 15-15 for the Arizona Senate.
Right now,
in a tough place for sure. Now, the Arizona House, again, prior to, let me get down to this. Ooh, there's a lot of scrolling here. Prior to the election, the House was 31-29 Republican control. Ben Toma was the speaker. He's out because he had run for Congress, so they're going to have to pick a new speaker. It looks like right now it's 32-28 is the number. Mm-hmm. So 32 Republicans are ahead to 28 Democrats. There are, again, it's the same districts, 2, 4, 9, 13, and 17, and 23.
Oh, that's crazy. It's the same
districts. It's the same because the districts mirror. And this is something that I wish we would change as a state. We do our districts in a dumb way because the Senate, you got one senator in each of the 30 districts, right? Mm-hmm. And you've got 2 House members in each of the 30 districts. I've advocated for years that we should follow more of the federal model. The districts, because most of the districts touch Phoenix and the Maricopa area. They'll never be changed because Maricopa has such clout, right? But we should have our senators by county. It should be like 2 senators per county, just like we do the states. Yeah. So that way more rural Arizona and other places will get more representation. Plus, why are we just mirroring this? It doesn't make any sense. Yeah. So, but at any rate, that's not going to happen, but I wish it would. 32-28 for the House right now, with 6 races that are very close. And I see this staying, I think this is going to stay pretty close to the same here. I think the Republicans will maintain that majority, but we'll see. We're going to need a couple days to sort it out. There are a couple very close races that could go either way, but it's kind of on both sides. So it's kind of unusual to see it, but there's a couple of districts that have 1 Republican and 1 Democrat in the lead. Yeah. And then the third person is just barely off, you know, so it goes both ways. And I think this is going to even out if some races flip. Mm-hmm. And we'll give a couple shout outs to some of our representatives. Representative Walt Blackman's going back in there. Representative David Marshall got back in. Representative Quan Nguyen of District 1 is heading over or heading back there as well. And I think he's really solid. So we'll see. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going to happen there. But it's definitely super close, and we'll have to let it play out and see what happens. Let's see here. Oh, should we do the propositions? What do we got left here?
Why not, right?
Let's hit the judicial real quick. You get to vote in the state of Arizona, or you did vote for retention of the judges.
Mm-hmm. The Supreme Court judges.
The Supreme Court, and then also
and
like
then
the appellates.
Your local ones,
the appellates
too.
courts and all that. Clint Bollock, who is the husband of Shauna Bollock, who's in a tight race right now, by the way, he overwhelmingly 58% to 41% is going to be retained in the Supreme Court. They were going after him because
there was a movement
the abortion
to
issue
get rid of
that came up.
Vote no on his retention, but that didn't work.
And the other one is
Catherine King.
Okay, same numbers?
Yes. Oh, well, she had more, but almost 60%.
Okay.
So yes, so she'll be retained.
Basically, all the statewide judges got retained.
As usual.
Some of them like 76%.
Yeah.
Now, when we get to the props, there was a prop to end retention, Prop 137.
Yeah, for them to automatically just...
They go before
they would get
committee.
reviewed on the Judicial Review Committee, and basically the Judicial Review Committee would decide whether they'd be retained or not.
That one got slaughtered.
But that one didn't
It
go.
got slaughtered.
Yeah.
Really, really bad. So, all right. So that's the judges. And like I said, comments, I said this earlier, talk with Jeff at iCloud.com. Always welcome those. So let's hit on the, ballot measures. So we had 13 statewide ballot measures, kind of the highest number I can remember seeing.
Yeah, that's a lot.
In a long time.
Yeah.
Most of them were put forward by the Republicans in the Arizona legislature to avoid Governor Hobbs' what is that? Shredding machine?
The
whatever
veto
she's
pen.
got. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, she's got like the record. She has like trophies. She has like the wall of shame or not shame. It's a wall of shame for me. She's vetoed some dumb bills too.
Yeah.
You're like, how did you veto that? How could you do that? So you hit it. Start going. I've talked enough. I'm going to take a drink.
Start
in the beginning.
133 was stuff about the elections to like keep the elections the same or something. I still not clear.
This was basically status quo.
Yeah, keeping it the same.
And it banned
the ranked choice.
No, not ranked choice. It banned jungle primaries.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So that
did not pass.
Yeah, that crashed and
burned. That one's a no.
I mean, I guess we should say nothing is final.
Okay, it's not final, but
this
at
is
this point,
this is not. This is not passing.
It's big difference.
Yeah,
so
that thing crashed and burned.
Yeah.
Can we jump ahead though? Yeah. Let's go out of order. 133. Okay. What I find interesting is 133 failed, but to jump ahead, Prop 140 failed.
Yeah.
They're like total opposite. Yeah. It's like people just didn't want to change.
I think people didn't understand too. It's so complicated.
Yeah. These are multi-page legal changes or constitutional changes.
So the 140 was to deal with the independence and making everything fair.
Jungle primary.
Yeah.
It's we're all on. There's no
the
parties.
Ranked choice voting, which I'm really glad that didn't pass.
This failed in other states too. This is probably good news because this thing's getting kind of trolloped around the country in places who have enacted ranked choice voting.
How did the Alaska one turn out? Because they were they were voting to overturn.
They were voting to get rid of the thing because it was such a dog, So this is good news. Maybe this will go the way of the dodo bird, but we'll see. Every once in a while you get these national pushes and somebody gets a genius idea and then they get bored.
Yeah.
Somebody's got a lot of money or something. I don't know who's behind it.
Or it gets passed somewhere and then you figure out that it's no good. And so then
So Prop 140, I thought this was going to pass like a couple weeks ago and then I realized it was going to crash and burn. This one got bipartisan opposition. I started seeing Democrats and Republicans uniting. It was kind of nice because for once we agreed on something. Mm-hmm. And that would have had...
I think we agreed for different reasons that it was bad.
Probably. Yeah, that's probably the case. It would have had this jungle nonpartisan primary, which I think some people look at and say, okay. But then it would have had the ranked choice voting that nobody understood. And it would have put the final say, actually, the legislature would have passed on it probably and it would have went to the Secretary of State, a Democrat, to how many rankings you got.
Yeah.
And the 5th place person could wind up being the 1st place person. And we have trouble counting in Arizona as it is. It takes us longer than any other state in the country to, determine. Could you imagine adding this?
I know.
Well, you have to have a bunch of like AI and supercomputers trying to figure it out. So both changes to our election system, Prop 133 and Prop 140, crash and burn.
Yeah, both of them.
Let's go back to the beginning. Go to 134.
Yeah, so 134, proposed amendment by the legislature relating to initiatives and referenda. That one didn't pass either.
Was this the one where they had to get the signatures?
Yeah, I think this was the one where they had to get the signatures.
From like a proportion from each county?
Yeah, a certain, however, I think it might have been by
like
district
10%.
or maybe it was by county.
I don't know. I think it was either one.
You had to
whatever.
get like
It
a
didn't
certain
pass.
percentage of the population.
Which I thought was a good idea. I supported this one.
I voted yes on it.
Yeah, it was like instead of going to Maricopa and what's the other big one? Pima?
And then
And a few
getting
big-
your 300,000 signatures there.
It's like,
They would have to go around the state and get a certain amount of signatures from
each
every
county.
place.
It's like 10% or something for an initiative, or maybe 15 for a constitutional amendment. It's like, do some of these groups, and quite frankly, politicians, know that there are far reaches of the state? Like, have you ever been to like Chinle?
Yeah.
Have you ever been to, what's that one up in the northwest corner on the other side of the canyon that might as well be on the moon?
Oh, like, yeah, it
Arizona
might as well be
City
part of Utah.
Yeah, it's like, I mean,
Fredonia.
There's not been a footprint of a politician or any of these people up there. And I don't know.
Yeah.
You're more likely to see Bigfoot.
I know.
You know
When's
what
the
I mean?
last time any politician besides like the local ones there?
So 134 crash and burn.
Yeah.
Failed.
Also 135 didn't pass.
This one's
the
a
governor,
no-brainer.
The emergency powers for the governor. Yeah, that didn't go
How
through
did that
either.
not pass? I mean, remember the 2.5-year COVID emergency that Ducey
He just
did?
keeps extending it.
This should have passed. But the Republicans had a chance. It was Eugenie, Rita, I think that tried to pass this years ago.
Yeah.
During COVID, and they rejected it. Okay, 136.
Yeah, actually, I don't remember what that one is. It says relating to ballot measures.
I know this
that
one.
one didn't pass.
Yeah, 136 would have allowed if an initiative got a bunch of signatures and they're about to turn it in,
and it was
clearly in
unconstitutional.
violation of the Constitution, they just say it's not going to go on the ballot. Voters didn't like that, I guess, because they figured we should be able to vote on stuff that's unconstitutional too. I don't know.
137, as mentioned before, for the judicial department. Yeah, that didn't go through.
That was bad. That was 77-22 so far. Yeah,
that might be one of the highest ones.
Yeah,
138 was the tipped wage thing that they could employers could pay a lower amount to tipped workers if they could prove that they got like $5 above minimum or something like that.
Yeah,
that didn't go through either.
I thought that was a good one. I'm living in the fringe of society though. I don't believe in a minimum wage. At all. I think the minimum wage should be zero, because that's what it is. Because if a business can't afford to employ you because the government imposed some crazy, like these people, these leftists would like to have a 25, 30, 40, 50. I've heard them say $50 minimum wage. Yeah. Business can't pay that, then there's no employee.
Yeah. Well, whenever anyone says that, it's clear that they've never been in the private sector.
They don't understand the economy.
They've never owned or paid someone. They've never put their signature on the front of the check.
Exactly. I'm thinking about going and I used to wait on tables when I was like high school and stuff. Mm-hmm. I mean, they're starting to make some good money. In Flagstaff, they're getting paid like $16 an hour. And I mean, there must be, unless you just suck at your job.
If you go to like a popular steakhouse or a nice Italian place,
you're pulling in $25,
$30
plus an hour easy.
Oh, even if you're not that good.
Well, maybe you're not that good. You know? And every iPad that you pay for on now, and you go to, or every device, would you like to add a 25% tip on the 25%? When did this happen? I was told when we passed these high minimum wages that, you won't have to tip because they're making so much. It's like, you're such a liar. What happened to those people?
Okay,
but the true minimum wage should be zero. And I think if we ever go through a really bad, and we will at some point, economic downturn, the states that have stuck with the federal minimum wage of $7 an hour or something, they're going to do a lot better than the ones that are handcuffed to a really high minimum wage. It's going to be, because imagine if you're like starving and the government ain't doing handouts, which who knows if that would ever happen. You'd be like, I'll work for $7 an hour.
Yeah.
Give me some.
Heck, I'll do.
Give me some money here. Yeah. Okay. Where are we at?
139, as mentioned before, that did pass by almost 62%.
Yeah,
That's
disaster.
To get an abortion up to fetal viability.
Yep.
We mentioned 140. That did not pass.
Ranked choice voting failed.
311 is the first responders fund, where anyone that gets convicted of a crime, they get $20 fine added on to whatever other fines they're paying. And the $20 goes into a fund to help pay for first responders that are killed in the line of duty.
If you lived in Britain, this would include thought crimes.
Yeah.
But anyway.
So that passed the 64%.
Overwhelmingly, okay.
The property tax one, where if someone's doing illegal stuff in the alley behind your house.
It's a crack alley.
Yeah, if they've got tents and needles or whatever. And you've incurred expenses to clean up and
you've gone to the city and said, hey, dude's got a meth lab in the alley.
Yeah, and
can
they're
you
not doing
please
anything?
take care of this? And there's needles all over, and they're throwing needles over to my kid's swing set, and there's prostitutes back there.
You're allowed to go and ask for a property tax abatement. Like,
that thing passed.
Save your receipts and stuff, though.
Good. By the way, another future proposition we should have is no government entity, county, city, state, anybody should be able to increase your property taxes 1 cent without going to you for approval, to the voters.
Agreed.
Not one.
Yeah.
They should personally go to you and say, hey, can we tax your house? And they'd be like, no.
Well, and the sad thing is,
get off my property.
It might pass anyway, because I swear every time there's a tax increase
everybody
proposal,
votes for it. Yeah.
It gets passed.
Yeah.
And I'm like, people complain about the cost of living, especially in a higher cost area like Sedona or Flagstaff. And yet every time a new sales tax comes up, or an extension or an override of the budget or whatever, doesn't matter.
Yep.
They pass every time.
Flagstaff, for example, they have not ever met a tax they don't like.
Yeah.
The people of Flagstaff, and we live in Flagstaff, we're in Flagstaff right now, and we vote in Flagstaff, right?
Yeah.
They complain about the cost of living. It's so
all
expensive here. So what did they do? They passed. There was a tax to increase the bus tax, the transit tax. Flagstaff
double
has
it, almost.
Flagstaff has this way overdone bus system where they're like 3/4 empty all the time. They're like, want to add more routes and electrify the bus. We're going to buy e-buses. And we're just like, oh my gosh, please stop.
And put in
Go
more
away.
stops.
And
Let it empty.
This overwhelmingly passes Flagstaff voters. And then they're going to go out and be like, this is overall tax. They're going to be like, I don't know why it's so expensive here.
Yeah.
Stop voting for this crap, and stop voting for dumb politicians that keep, bloating the budget, double the budget. All right, go on.
So anyone that pays city sales tax, which includes commercial rentals and any tax on goods and services.
Oh, you're going to have to adjust all that.
Oh, yeah.
Get to work.
Yep.
Get to work. You're deputized by the government to collect the money. Okay,
and I get the privilege of also filing the return and sending them the money. Okay.
Anyway, pay you.
Proposition 313, child sex trafficking sentencing. That was like a felony or something if you get convicted of that.
Now what is it, like castration?
No, it was like a class 2, or I think it's changing it to
Mark
class 2 felony. No.
She's rolling her eyes.
That
I get confused easily.
That passed. So
imagine if that hadn't passed. You're going to be life sentence.
Yeah, I think it was that. And then there was also rules for like fentanyl.
Yeah.
If you sell it and it causes death or something like that. Yeah, you get class 2 felony.
Okay.
And
passes.
then
if that hadn't passed, I'd be like, okay, let's go look at property in Idaho.
314, we already talked about this. The border, being able to secure our own border
overwhelmingly
in our
looks
state
like it passed,
and not rely upon the feds to
Although
not do it.
we got help coming with Trump, so
that one passed.
News.
So,
okay.
And then there was the last one, 315, was stuff with the rules.
Nobody understood this one.
Yeah, and it was a confusing thing.
Yeah. But it was a good thing.
That one did not pass.
It was if some bozo bureaucrat politician or bureaucrat,
they had a limit.
Bureaucrat, created a rule that created extra expenses or whatnot.
It was like over $100,000.
It had to go somewhere. Something. I don't even know. See, it failed. But it was a good thing when I read it, and I did know, and that was weeks ago.
Yeah,
so
well,
that's passed. So
no, it didn't. It didn't pass.
No, I mean the time has passed.
It's
failing, but the moment is gone.
Yeah, right.
That's what I meant to say. All right, that's the propositions. Some good, some bad. I mean, some stuff got through.
No's.
Yeah, a lot of no. I supported a lot more than what actually got passed.
Yeah,
that doesn't surprise me that we have a pretty conservative legislature and they similar mindset on a lot of these issues. Mm-hmm. They tried to avoid the governor. They tried, and they got some through. So I'll give them credit. They tried to work around to get around Hobbs, and they got some stuff through. Mm-hmm. So kudos to them for doing that. All right, talk with Jeff at iCloud.com. All right, just final thoughts here, though, because we got to wrap it up. I know you got to go do kid driving.
Yeah, roundup.
Do the roundup out there. And it was icy this morning in Flagstaff.
Yeah, what was with that snow?
Yeah, there was like it wake up to inch, couple inches of snow.
It was just enough though to make the road.
It was
a mess.
slick as heck, and we're used to that stuff here, although it's early in the season.
Well, but I didn't even know about it. We opened the window this morning.
Yeah, and it's
blinds,
like,
and we're like,
I guess it's snowing.
Whoa,
now. It's cold. It's going to be in the teens tonight. But anyway, I'm optimistic. I'm excited that Trump won. I have some concerns with Arizona, but I think we're going to maintain control in the legislature. I'm talking to Republicans. Mm-hmm. And we'll have to hold their feet to the fire. I'll continue to bring them on, and we'll wait and see what happens in the next couple of days, though, and see if it holds. Mm-hmm. The worst case would be a tie, or the Democrats getting control of one of those houses. We're waiting to see on 2 congressional races. We're waiting to see on Kari Lake's race. What else? I mean, some of these propositions are pretty sewed up.
Right. There's nothing that's really close. I mean,
the big one is really Kari Lake. The U.S. House, the Congress, do Republicans maintain control? Yeah. And then Arizona, do Republicans maintain control of the Senate and the House?
Yeah.
And we're going to need a couple more days to figure that out. And
right now,
it looks
Republicans
positive.
Are ahead, but we've seen it change.
What were some saying? A new day, a new day has dawned here. Mm-hmm. Turn the corner. And like I said, let's gloat today. I think that's okay. We don't need to be too obnoxious, but then let's get to work. And then we got to hold these people. We don't want to have a repeat of 2017 where Trump did get in and had a Republican House and Senate, and they blew it. They absolutely blew it. We cannot. I don't think it will, because there was still a resistance to Trump. Yeah. The old guard's gone.
Yeah.
Mitch McConnell, if he's the Senate, the leader of the Senate.
Yeah, he's already said he does not.
Please. We cannot have these rhinos in charge. Yeah. If the Republican, let me put it another way, the Republican Party better not fail us this time.
I know, right? Yeah.
Now, as you know, we left. We're independents, not because we're Democrats.
I was never Republican that long ever.
Yeah, because we're probably much more conservative than some of it, or at least the old leadership like the McConnells. Let's make sure they stay on track, and let's keep it together. Let's hope the next 2 months go smooth too, and that Trump stays protected.
Yeah.
Because dang, there's a lot of wackos out there. So, but encouraging. So we'll keep you up to date on it. You can check my Twitter feed or X feed, and then also talkwithjeff.com and keep up on that. I hope everybody has a great, safe rest of the day. If you're in Northern Arizona, stay warm. All right, take care, everyone. See you. Portions of this show may be pre-recorded. We do not give legal, medical, or financial advice. Please seek a competent professional for all matters. This show is for informational purposes only. If you're enjoying the show and you're listening or watching the podcast and you haven't subscribed, please hit the subscribe button right now. Also, I'd appreciate it if you shared the show. We got all the links to all the different places you can watch it and listen to it at talkwithjeff.com. That's talkwithjeff.com.
This is the Jeff Oravits Show.